Mr. Melvin Yong.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I stand in support of the bill. Although the number of fire incidences have remained stable in recent years, every fire poses a significant risk to lives and properties. It is therefore imperative that we review and update our fire safety regulations periodically. While I support the bill, I have a few questions. First, I support the new provisions in the bill to empower the SCDF to mandate building owners to install fire safety critical upgrades if deemed necessary for public safety. Currently, changes to the fire code can only be applied prospectively to new buildings and to existing ones that undergo addition and alteration works. But when a fire breaks out and spreads, it does not discriminate between older or newer buildings. Therefore, we must ensure that occupants in all buildings are safe. However, the costs involved for building owners to comply with the latest fire code can be significant. As indicated by the SPS earlier, there are some 500 buildings that will be required to undergo such fire safety upgrades. These buildings have not undergone any A&A works for some time, and some predate even the 1991 fire code. It is likely that some of these buildings may require a substantial overhaul to comply with the latest fire code. Will the Ministry provide assistance to these building owners to help them become compliant to the latest fire code? Due to our aging population, these older buildings, some of which are in my constituency, are looking at installing lifts to better serve the needs of their elderly occupants. But since they have not undergone any A&A works previously, major overhauls such as having to build an entirely new fire escape stairwell are needed to comply with the latest fire code. This presents the building owners with an extremely prohibitive cost when all they want is to simply build a lift to cater to the mobility needs of their aging occupants. So they tell me, we cannot install the lift because if we install the lift, we need to comply with the latest fire code. But if we don't install the lift, then we are in compliance with the old fire code. Can the Ministry look into how we can help these older buildings lower the prohibitive cost of fire safety compliance when undergoing such A&A works? Mr. Deputy Speaker, I support also the provisions in the bill that will provide SCDF with the ability to appoint authorized third parties called supplementary enforcement officers to conduct routine fire safety enforcement checks and building inspections. Singapore is a dense city-state. While there is no official census on the number of buildings in Singapore, a study done by NTU in 2005 estimated that there were close to 160,000 buildings in Singapore. I'm sure this number has grown significantly in the 14 years since the study was concluded. Allowing SCDF to outsource routine checks would therefore allow the agency to better optimize its resources. However, outsourcing comes with the risk that poorly trained enforcement officers would tarnish the reputation of the SCDF. Members would have heard of various issues associated with outsourced enforcement officers. Therefore, it is important that we provide these supplementary enforcement officers with the appropriate training, both in terms of technical skills and the soft skills of engaging building management and members of the public. Could the Ministry therefore share more on the training that these supplementary enforcement officers would undergo? Beyond training, another way to reduce issues associated with outsourced enforcement officers is to engage officers, individuals who already have a wealth of relevant experience. This is where the labour movement can come in. Our unions have many members who are retired fire wardens, safety officers, and facilities management officers, many of whom will be keen to return to work with some form of training. I urge SCDF to work closely with our unions and engage these experienced officers as possible supplementary enforcement officers. Mr. Deputy Speaker, while we had a lengthy discussion earlier on PMDs, I would be remiss if I do not raise the issue of fires relating to the charging of PMDs and PABs in a debate about fire safety. With the recent spate of PMD-related fires, it is important that we continue to educate the public on the need to ensure that their PMDs are compliant to the safety standards and on safe charging habits. While I note that the SCDF has infographics about fire safety tips for PMDs and PABs on their social media channels, more work needs to be done to increase awareness, in particularly for those who are not on social media channels. Perhaps the supplementary enforcement officers could double up their roles and educate the public on proper fire safety practices when conducting their inspections. SCDF and LTA should also work closely with the vendors of these PMDs and PABs to educate their users on the proper charging of their devices at the point of sale. While education and awareness are important, but they alone are insufficient. I do agree with Engineer Lee Bee-Hua that with so many non-compliant PMDs in our housing estates, there is a risk of a PMD-related fire every day. From the investigation into the past PMD-related fires, I'd like to ask if the SCDF has found any useful patterns or any early warning signs of high fire risk PMDs. If so, can we focus our inspections on these devices? Mr. Deputy Speaker, fire safety is the joint responsibility of everyone in the community. So while we increase the regulatory powers of SCDF as part of our periodic review of the fire safety regulations, it is important that we extend support to those impacted. I urge the Ministry to do more in helping owners of older buildings to become compliant with new regulations and to engage our unions to employ experienced officers as supplementary enforcement officers. With that, I support the bill.